Hillary, and Savannah. Everybody finally took the second test. We'll try to look at it today. See what you all did. Savannah just finished it yesterday, and I just found it this morning. I had tucked away in an old folder. Thought I'd lost it, but I knew that never left my office. Yeah, last night in Texas, Cole, you and Hillary got stuck in traffic. Nicole had to work late. Cole was sick, and it made hard on 5 people. Of course, we'll never have any hateful person like we did that one night. That's the hatefulest woman I've ever run into doing taxes for free. You're doing something for somebody for free, you think it'd be nice, right? So, anyway, our accounting majors that graduate this year, Lyco has a job in an accounting firm, which I told you before, up in Marietta, making it to 50,000. That's as much as someone starting faculty started at up here. Or maybe. Anyway, Tanda, she'll graduate, and she right now makes about 50-something thousand, just a manager at Bojangles. But then she's gonna go into their accounting department. And Kayla Lambert, she got a job accounting, I believe it's here in Bluefield. Olivia, she's working in accounting, gonna stay with it. So all the folks who graduate this May has jobs in accounting. Now Giorgio, he's either going to go with the West Virginia auditors or he's going to work on his MBA at West Virginia University. Something he's looking at. I think he's accepted, but he's looking for some kind of scholarship or something. And we have a fellow named Coton. Do y'all know Coton? I haven't run into him. I don't know what he's doing. And there's a Robert Bogg. I think he works. We don't work for Food City, does it? Robert Bogg?
Not the one I work at.
Yeah, those two I don't know what, but the rest of them have accounting jobs. So, major in accounting, you can get a job. Okay, I don't have a grade on these tests. Like I say, I just found them this morning. It was open book. So you better do good on it. Okay? We got to put a grade on it. All right, now, of course, this is not tax class, but we have 3 more nights. Jonathan, you're already up to how many returns?
45.
Are you? Can't quit. You're gonna come out all 3 nights. We have to have Cole. I forget how many you got.
I can slow down.
Yeah, you can slow down.
I'm doing about 30.
I know Hillary's only done 20. He's only got 3 more nights. So, we're gonna look at your test. You get 2.
Oh. I didn't take test too.
You didn't?
No,
I was looking for your test.
I turned in my tax test, but I gotta get it to the doctor.
Yeah, that's right. When you gonna take it?
I don't know.
Well, we gotta go over it.
I mean, I can get to the other room and take things.
You gotta take it sometime. I'll probably have to change it.
I doubt he's gonna give me the answers. I doubt he's gonna give me the answers, unless you wanna give me home to test.
Yeah, I've got Clayton and Savannah. Yeah, you got 2 right, John. Cole, let me have you leave for 15 minutes.
That's fine.
I thought I saw your paper. But we got to go with it anyway. We had this 2 weeks ago before spring break. 5 problems, 20 points apiece. All right, that's straightforward.
Didn't you say we can omit one?
No, I don't do it, but I did. It's open book. Did I say you could omit one, Monique?
You said we could omit one and then each problem would.
I mean, 25 apiece. Okay. If I said that, then I'll stick to it. I don't know why I did that though, but none of you I turned in a bad grade for on I didn't turn in any bad grades, cost or taxes for midterm. I'm looking for my Elmo over here to show you a solution. And I'm going to minimize this to see, and I hope I'm still sending out messages here. All right, it says that to visualize. There it is. Fine. Now, Cole can go back and look at this video and see the solution. Well, naturally, I can't give him this test, okay? But we're going to do it. I like to give a test back the next day. In this case, you had this 2 weeks ago. We had a week off. This is your second test. This is half of your grade. Time we put two together. So let's look and see what we have. All right, let's start with number one. Now I'm using a solution here that another student, all I did, I knew this student would make 100. And I'm using their paper. And I went back and numbered their paper. And these were not test bank tests. And I don't have test bank solutions. So problem one, okay, can you manage two there? Problem one, Nelson Corporation has the following info. All materials are added at the start of production. Now, refer to Nelson Corporation for preparing equivalent units using the FIFO and the weighted average. All right, now this person labeled weighted average over here. And they did all of your beginning, started and completed, transferred out, and you had 30 in ending inventory, units to count for 130. Now see, these were started and completed, and we transferred those out. Now, so far, that's not giving you equivalent units to account for. Both cases, 130. Now, what equivalent units did you get, Jonathan, for weighted average?
1.95.
Huh? No, something's wrong. Something's wrong here too. Maybe this one was not right. All right. Here, your ending inventory, what it say was 30% complete as to conversion. Okay, we're going to have to work this separate here if we have to. But if we transfer out 100, now what is 30% of, what is 30% of 30? No, they got it here, 9,000. So here's the equivalent units for materials. And the weighted average, it's transferred out, which is 100, and the whole 30, because you started with materials went at the beginning. So here's your answers, okay? I begin to wonder where they were. Do you have those two answers, Monique, on either one of your two papers? Well, let's see if I can blow it up. Now can you see them on these?
Yeah.
130 and 109. Is that on your paper, Jonathan? Either one of your two papers? That's weighted average. Now, the test asked you for FIFO first. So let's look at FIFO. Under FIFO, your beginning inventory, 25% complete, would be started and completed, would be 90. Under FIFO would be 90. 9,000 here. All right, and something's wrong right here. Started and completed was 90. Started and completed was 90. So under FIFO, you do have to consider beginning inventory. Over here, we did not. We just had to transfer it out. But the way your book did it, you did add it to started completed, which gave you transfer out. Now, under FIFO, you have to consider beginning inventory. But for materials, those were already added last period. But I would just say started and completed plus 30. I would say this is 120. Do either one of you have 120 on your paper anywhere? You do, Jonathan? Good. Now over here, this is still 30 and that's 9. Beginning inventory, I gotta look at it. Nelson Corporation has the following available. Let's see. 25% complete as to conversion. We had to add 75. 75% of 10 is 75. So this is your answer, 165 and 120. Everybody match? All right, that's all we had to do is that problem, right? Okay, now how many answers do you have? Okay, 25 points. If you miss one of those 4 answers, take off 5 points for each one you missed. Now, Jonathan, you only did 4 problems, right?
Yeah.
How about you? 4. How about the other paper there? How many did you take there?
She just did 30.
What? Hillary?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's all right. Well, still 5 pigs. How about that paper? Ron? How many papers?
I found 2 of them, but I can't find
See how hard it is for me to find them? That's mild. Okay. We'll just take off 5 apiece for each one of these 4 answers they missed. Whether they count at 20 or 25, they'll still have 5 points. Okay. Can we go on to number 2 now? We ready to go to 2? Huh?
2 pages later.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Well, now, John, sometimes they have a puzzle on there. All right, now it says refer to the Nelson Corporation prepared equivalent unit schedule using FIFO and weighted average. Refer to Nelson Corporation prepared schedule showing assignment of cost and then 3, the following costs were accumulated Department 2. No, that's totally different. Number 3 is total. We did 1. Number 2. Oh, let me 0 in. Number 1 and 2 was same problem, but I made 2 problems out of it. Okay. Now, if we're preparing that schedule, I'll get straight in a minute too, folks. Sorry about that. When I checked this paper, whenever I checked it, it looked like, now, Here they divided, that's $1.30, 27.03. Now over here will be $1.32. I think this should have been what, 120? Somebody divide 35,1 by 120, see what you get. Divide 35,100 by 120. What you get, Monique? Right here, what is it, 0.29? All right, that'll be 0.29. Did anybody, any paper you got 29, or what did they got? Yeah, don't get your weighted average and your FIFO backwards, which this one does. This was weighted average. All right, John, first off, let's do weighted average. Do you have any papers that match these three numbers? Okay, now this is FIFO. We're going to change this to 29 something. Do you have anybody that matches those three numbers? 132 or 105? Got any matches? Got any matches, Monique? All right. Does anybody match the 29 here? Does anybody match the 27? See, that's all the way back over here on weighted average. They changed on FIFO, but these look correct. So -5, that's 6 answers. So I'll just take a -3 for each missed answer. That'd be 18 points. -3 for each missed answer. All right, now number 3, the following costs were accumulated, and you got work in process 2,000, 60% complete. You got cost transferred in Department 1, materials, labor, and overhead. Materials are added in Department 2 until the very end of the process. Complete the cost of units completed. Now, A, weighted average, B, FIFO. So this was tough, folks. Again, I think this paper has it correct. Okay, weighted average is on the left. Transferred in 50,000. Right there from beginning 294. Now here they had to get 804 a unit, $1.70 a unit, 498 a unit. Now, do any of you have papers with these figures? You do? You don't have any paper with any of these figures? Oh, okay. But John, you have papers with those on.
She admitted that one. Yeah.
All right. And if you got a paper that missed any one of those three, -3 apiece. No, it's -2 apiece. There's so many answers on it. Now, if we move over to FIFO, I hope she didn't mess this one up for whoever I looked at. 8, $1.70, and 5. Does that match any numbers on your paper or whoever, John? 8, $1.70, and 5. Does that match anything? Okay, good. -2 apiece of any of those. Jonathan, do you have these answers? 50,000, 294 anywhere. All right, did you have? Look at that now. Whoops, I thought it froze. All right, here's the first two answers. Did you have those? 50 and 294. Over here you had 50, even, 294, 5. Okay, minus 2 for any bad answer. Okay, Monique, you omitted that one. Chicken. All right. These ought to be easy to grade, folks. Journal entries. Um, this writing is fine, but debit inventory and credit accounts payable. And do not put dollar marks in journal entries. Okay? Next one, work in process, manufacturing overhead, and credit raw materials inventory. Huh?
Put work in process, but did not put.
All right, if they don't set us for overhead account, just put an X there, one X out of 3 accounts, put one X. Now, same thing, Jonathan, with labor. You gotta have work in process, overhead control, and wages paid, one X. Come back in, Cole, should have sent you out. See, we're going over it, but Jonathan wouldn't tell you, but since I started recording for these people who are absent, it's on video. I have to give you a different test. Yeah, it's on video, so. All right. Now, the next journal entry on number 4, overhead incurred and paid. That should be easy. Debit overhead and credit cash right here. And also, please skip a line between journal entries. This was a good student, but they disobeyed a few fundamentals. All right, overhead applied. So if you apply overhead, you debit work in process, credit manufacturing overhead control. And then we had finished goods and credit work in process. And then we had accounts receivable, credit sales, debit cost of goods sold, and credit finished goods. Now, make sure your amounts are right there. Now, this person committed another sin. They put dollar marks, 1 wrong. They didn't skip a line, 2, and they abbreviated work in process. They got WIP. Okay? Some things we just don't abbreviate. Maybe taxes. All right. Here, if it was worth 20 or 25, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Just 1 point for each line. Minus 1 point for each line, John. Number 5. Now, number 5, Kelly Corporation started operations. It employs a job order cost system. Overhead is charged at a normal rate of $250. The actual operations are given. Now, we purchased raw materials. Materials and labor costs were job 1 through 5, units, materials, and labor. Actual overhead costs incurred, variable overhead and fixed. Completed jobs 1, 2, 3, 4. Sales required compute the following balances. It didn't ask for journal entry, just compute the following balances. 1, materials inventory. Well, we had materials on hand. Is that what we bought? 30,000 of materials? Did we buy 30? All right. We give these out for job 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Do we have 4,200 left? All right. Does that match anybody, Monique? 4,200 in material. Okay, good. Now remember, there's 5 answers here. 5 points apiece. All right, -5 if they missed it. Now, work in process inventory. I hope that, Monique, did you draw T accounts? All right, did you draw T accounts, John?
That's the one I did.
Oh.
But,
How about the other paper? They didn't do it either?
well, they did it, but they didn't draw the.
Oh, okay. Work in process, we put in materials, labor, and overhead. However, did we not ship that out somewhere? That does add up to 17.5, but something's a foul here. If you look down at D part, jobs 1, 2, 3, and 4 were finished. We debit finished goods. Now wait a minute. They did this. They did it. You know what they did? They did it for each job, didn't they? 1, 3, and 4. Now, that's the job we had left then, was it? The work in process total. There, that's better. All your inputs and then those 4 ones finished goods. Has anybody got 16.1? She does. And Monique, 16.1 -5. All right, now C part, finished goods inventory. All right, now that looks like, Jonathan, C part, what is that? Is that 140? 14. D part, cost of goods sold. Is this correct?
Yeah.
And then E part, under an applied overhead. I don't know, how much did we find? 2,500? Anyway, I'm going to show it to you in a nutshell right there. I think she had all these correct. So there's A, B, C, D. I gave this person 100, and I should have taken off 5 for those dog marks and not skipped a line. And I should have taken off 5 for that one part. So they should have had a 90, not a 100. And these 5 points apiece. Colt, you are too young to be sick all the time.
I'm usually never sick.
And especially getting sick the last 2 tax preparation nights.
Yeah.
Can't get sick on Wednesday anymore. Okay, Monique, Johnson, did you get some kind of grade put on?
Yeah.
I'll still look open. Oh, good, Terry's usually good, better than that. Okay, Clayton and Monique were here the other day, and we went over the next chapter on standards. And if you get a chance to look at that, please do. Now, here, I'm gonna give you some figures. Have you got to look at the video yet, Jonathan? How about you? Okay. Monique knows what I'm talking about too. All right. The other day we have, actual materials used. Let's say it was 12,000 units. But standard materials, we should have used 11.5. Now, why did we use 12 instead of 11.5? We may have sorry employees that wasted 500 units, or we may have inferior materials. Now, the cost of those materials per unit, actual cost, we'll say was just $1 a unit to make this easy for you. But now let's say standard cost would be, say standard cost would be 95 cents a unit. Now keep those things in mind, all right? You need to jot these down because I'm gonna have to move this. Actual materials used, 12,000. Standard, we should have used 11.5. Cost, actual is $1, but standard was 95 cents. Monique, you have those written down? All right, we'll use Monique's figures here. And the other day, now guys, get used to this format, actual times actual. Standard times standard. Now, Monique, do you remember what we put in the middle here? Was it actual times standard? I think it was. Or was it standard? Huh?
Standard time actual.
All right, I get that turned around myself sometime. We'll see in a minute. All right. Now, this is the format, guys, the book has, but it has a little deviation from it. Now, the information I gave you a minute ago, I said we actually used how many units, Monique? 12,000? And we actually paid $1, right? Material. All right. Standard should have been, what, 11.5? And the actual price is still $1. All right. That is correct, Monique, yeah. Now, standard was 11.5, but the standard price was how much? 95 cents? All right, guys, I want you to put this down, multiply these out, multiply them out, and take the difference. All right, this would be $12,000, right? This would be 11.5. All right, how much is this? Standard times standard, 95 cents times 11.5.
10,000.
10,925. All right, now these are variances. There's 3 variances here. The difference here is the quantity variance. All right, which is 500 units, right? $500. Now that's unfavorable. We used 500 more than we should have. Now down here, the difference here, what is the difference here? $675? Now that is a price variance. Now, isn't that also unfavorable? Now add the 2 unfavorables together, 506.75. Is that 1175?
Supposed to be 575.
Yeah, it is it. All right, so does that make 1075 on paper? Now I want you to go over here to the left and take those two figures, 12,000, actual times actual, and standard times standard, and take the difference. 12,000 minus 10,925 leaves how much? All right, that's a way to check it, and that's unfavorable. Now, this company, now here's another way to do this, guys. $1, the difference here is 500 units. $1 times 500 units is 500 unfavorable. Or down here, 5 cents. 5 cents times 11,500. All right, would be 575. So I want you to get used to this format. It's set up about the same in the book, but they set it up different. Just know this is actual, standard times actual, standard times standard. Now this company is wasting $500 worth of material for 500 units. Maybe it's inferior. Wait a minute. Shouldn't this have been favorable, guys? Well, something's wrong here. No, that's unfavorable. We paid 5 cents too much. Sorry, it's all unfavorable. Now here it's 5 cents. We paid 5 cents more for our materials. That's totally unfavorable. We paid 5 cents more for it. Now, Tuesday, guys, we talked about location. You may have to pay more for materials because Bluefield State only has one mode really of transportation, and that's land. One mode, land. That's rail and truck. But now you take a big city, most of them have 3 modes of transportation. That's why they're built on waterways. They got water, land, and air. And if you're in a location where you got water, land, and air for shipping in and shipping out, you may make a difference of 5 cents. All right. Okay, now one more example, guys. I expect you to get this one this time. Now we're going to talk about labor. You set it up the same way. All right. We spent 1,000 actual hours to do something. But we should have done that in 950 hours, which was standard. All right, now we paid actually $15 per hour. All right, but the standard per hour was $16. All right, now set that up in the same format that I did, actual times actual, standard times standard, and in the middle of that, was standard times actual in the middle of there, money, standard time. Now, set that up in the same format and see if you can work that out. Now, John, I did notice one thing last night. Clayton always ended up with a pretty young woman.
That's what I told him after.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, after I was like, how did you always end up with them? He's like, I don't know, but I felt like Lester blessed me. That's what he said. Right.
They were always in line when he got somebody finished.
I told him, I was like, that's a shame. One of them has a kid, and I think that's a boyfriend.
Yeah, okay. But well, we had them in there last night and walkers and canes. And one of them was half blind. We had them in all kinds of shapes. But now, I noticed one family, they came in, three of them came in together. I think it was daddy, mommy, and son. I gave them three numbers. And then they were talking, all those other people going out there, and I found one was their nephew, and one was, they brought the whole family.
I think I had.
Yeah.
Because it was, she was the one married filing separately.
Oh, yeah, and it hurt her too. Was that her husband with her? Oh.
She said that she didn't want to file with her husband because her husband would take all the money back.
She must have been with her boyfriend.
I don't know who the guy was.
Yeah, we get all kinds of situations.
Her brother, I don't know.
We won't mention names, but Clayton had one also last night. When he put in their social security number, it showed it had been used.
It was I had done that.
Huh?
I had started theirs. I remember they had the one W-2 where he wasn't taxed on it.
Oh, I know. He had that.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't let him in there because I had already done it. I had already started it.
Wonder why it let Savannah in.
Because she has access.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, Sarah gave her access to everything without my permission. We'll have to whoop Sarah. Anyway, what it was, and I know this is probably more taxes. We worked for an employer that gave him $13,000 on a 1099. Then you got to fill out a Schedule C. Well, luckily we were able to give him gas mileage of 100 a day, but IRS could come back on that because you're only supposed to count gas mileage after you get to work and you let go somewhere from there. My gas mileage from home to here don't mean diddly squat. I don't get to take it. But if Bluefield sent me to Charleston or Princeton or out to a high school, then I would deduct the mile. So he may not get to deduct those. But anyway, and he took a class or something to do that. So we gave it to him as business expense, which is on the verge of not being correct. All right, in this situation, go ahead and set that up and work out your variance. I want a labor rate variance, and I want a labor efficiency variance and an overall variance. Okay, so I'm going to erase this. Everybody got what they need. Everybody's got what they need. Okay. All right. Guys, on a test, it won't be open book next time. Remember to set up your formula. Actual times actual and standard times standard. And in the middle, I'm on 8. We're putting what? Standard times actual. This one in the middle, I forget which one goes first, but I would know once I worked it out. Now, actual was how many labor hours? 1,000? And what was the actual labor price? $15? And that's 15,000, right?
Yes.
Okay, standard was what, 950 hours? And we paid them how much?
16.
All right, 950 times 16 is what?
14,250. Actual is 50. Right?
Yeah. Whoa, you're right.
Okay,
You're
good.
right, Jonathan. Whoa.
All
I
right.
got carried away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
now.
14,250. Yeah.
All right, now here, standard
60.
times standard. What's 950 times 16? How much?
15,200.
All right, now let me preach to you again. All right, here, actual was 15, right? The standard was 16. Now we know different parts of the country wages different, don't they? See, in West Virginia, this could have been minimum wage, what, 8 how much an hour? That could have been 8.75 is standard in West Virginia. Or standard in Virginia would be 7.35. Okay, different. Standard in DC at McDonald's might be different. So, now at one time, labor, you got better wage up north. And a lot of the people that I went to high school with and grew up with in the county I was in, when I graduated from high school, they went to the car industry. They went to work in Detroit. Some of them went to work in a suit factory in Ohio. And some of them went to shipbuilding out in Norfolk, Virginia. That's where a lot of my classmates went to. Because of the wages, okay? Now, for a long time, Volvo, Mercedes, Toyota, they didn't build down south. Because the skilled trade was up north. People were trained. And in fact, people up north had more high school education than people in the south. You know, back in my day, I could have went to the Army with third grade education. What do you have to have now to go to the Army? At least a high school diploma, don't you? At least. And about the same thing for coal mine. That's the same thing for a coal mine. You got there's certain jobs in mining, they want you to have a high school diploma. But you know, 7th grade education back in my day was probably as good as 12th grade now. 12th grade back then is probably as good as 2 years of college. And for you all, 4 years of college is a must. All right? Okay, now what is the diff right here? What's the difference here? That look favorable or unfavorable? Yeah, we used $15,000 worth when we should have used $14,250. Now also, that is $15 times 50. Take 50 times $15. That would give you $750. All right, now what's the difference right here? Is that $950?
Yeah.
Right. So the whole thing here would be what, 200? All right, if you check the difference out over here, actual, standard, that's 750 for 950, it'd still be 200 favorable. All right, that's what this chapter is talking about. Now, here, we used 1,000 units when we should have used 950. We could have bought inferior raw materials, inventory. Our workers are only making 15 an hour. Maybe they're frustrated. Maybe they waste more. Maybe these workers that make 16 an hour are more efficient. Maybe they have more experience. Maybe they have more seniority. Maybe these are newer workers. A production supervisor would analyze all of these little details, okay? All right. Ramona's had a double dose of that. Guys, I plead with you to read this chapter well. All right. What chapter is it, Monique? Chapter what? Chapter what? Okay, guys, read chapter 7 now. We were looking at standard pricing on materials and labor. We've got to do it with overhead. Now, Monique, what was the assignments for today? What problems for today?
24, 28.
23, 24, 28, 30, and 34, right?
Yeah.
All right, now that was for today, okay? But now for Tuesday, I'll write them on here so 4 other people can't make a mistake. We got a lot of problems to do Tuesday on this chapter. Not a hard chapter if you practice with me. I want you to try 37, 41, 44, 48, all right, and there's one more, 56. Now, when we have this test, I'm going to give you a bonus problem from this chapter. It's a comprehensive problem, which is number 58. Now, 58 is optional. It's comprehensive on this chapter, but it's a bonus on your test. It's worth points. So let's try to do that comprehensive.
I'm ready.
Huh?
I'm ready.
5 to 10, depending on how hard the test is. So anyway, Tuesday we'll look at some of these solutions, talk some more about the chapter. We got to practice overhead Tuesday, okay? So you all got time now to run to the job fair. But do try to go over there today and pick up some paper for some company or something. I want to try to go at the end of tax class.
Nobody